Hi, guys. I want to specially welcome you to another episode of Stories. It's been a waves of amazing stories and inspiring stories back to back. And we're always excited to be back. And again, I want to appreciate everyone who has always, marked out your schedule to be on this show with us to learn and to also get this across to as many people as possible. I want to say this, that the story we're about to listen to today is a story of redemption, the story of healing. You will hear things that will make you marvel, and I'm telling you that to grab your seat because you're about to hear things that you'll be amazed about. And I'm going to allow her hit the ground running, but just before we do, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and get as many people as possible to come join us to listen to this inspiring story today. I have with me in the studio an amazing woman of God. So good to see you again.
Thank you so much, sir.
And she has a very particular story. Some of the things you're going to be listening to are quite not Christianese, and I want you to pay very important attention to them. I'm going to allow her hit the ground running from the most convenient spot. Over to you now, woman of God.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Where do I begin from? So I was about 16, going to 17. I just finished secondary school.
Yeah.
And I went in to do my A-levels.
Yeah.
Now, let me just establish that while I was in secondary school, I had friends, I had boyfriends, and we did a lot of crazy stuff. But I wasn't really that kind of person. As a matter of fact, when a guy would ask me out, I would say, no, I don't have a boyfriend and I don't need one. It was a thing of pride for me. I had that mindset.
In secondary school.
In secondary school. So I finished secondary school. I didn't know I have a boyfriend. I didn't even know anything about that. And then I went for my A-levels. And then there was a lot of pressure. Now, I liked hanging out with guys. I felt like guys were a lot more comfortable to relate with and talk to.
They don't stress people.
And there was this pressure, different guys come, do you have a boyfriend? I was saying no, but they kept on coming. And there was this friend of mine, her cousin started coming around, started being friendly. And then my friend just said, why don't you just date him? There are a lot of guys on your back, so it's become dangerous at some point. But once you know that there's a man in your life, they'll let you go. So I agreed to date the boy and started dating. Never did anything. We'll just see in the evening, sit down, talk, laugh. And, so I just enjoyed that company and that was it. We went out a few times, have food to eat and stuff like that. It was just normal until this fateful day where we had already planned that we were going somewhere and we were supposed to meet at the spot. Came out of my hostel, I walked to the spot, and while waiting for him, I kept on hearing this voice tell me, go back, go back, go back.
Go back where?
Go back to your hostel. So I went back. Halfway through, I started feeling, I don't want to stand him up, sentimental and all of that. So I was like, it won't be nice. I wouldn't like someone to do it to me. So I went back to the spot. I did that like 3 times.
Wow.
So the last time I was just about walking back to my hostel. I saw him coming. I was like, he's already here. So, and then we left. Where we went to wasn't too far from school. In short, there was a back entrance to school from where we went to. And the moment we got there, at about 5 p.m., it started raining. Non-stop. So our school gate closes by 9 p.m. and then the bar gate closes by 10 p.m. But as at 10 p.m., it was raining heavily. Now, there was no light. The back road, erosion had eaten part of the road. So we couldn't even say, let's just start walking back to the hostel. So the guy said, you know what, this place, they have a room. So we could just book a room and stay. And I said,
where's this place?
Where we went to hang out. So there was a restaurant and a lounge. So I didn't know that they had
rooms.
So he said, they have rooms, so we could just stay since we can't go back. And I said, sure. And then I noticed that they started ordering more alcohol. But I was just drinking malt, eating pepper soup. That was my own. I said, okay. At about 11 p.m., it was still raining. He said, let's just go and sleep. So we entered the room and then he says he wants us to have sex. I'm like, that's not possible. I told you I'm a virgin. I've never had sex before. I don't have plans to. So he started threatening me. So I was trying to act gangster.
The same lover boy.
Yes. I was trying to act gangster.
What's the age difference between you?
A year.
A year difference? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I picked up a bottle, the bottle he just finished down, and I
Yeah.
said, if you don't leave me, I'm going to smash this bottle on your head. And he took
Mm.
the bottle from me, smashed it on the wall,
Hey,
locked the door, and took the key.
the same lover boy.
Yes. You know, he became a totally different person. And then after he had his way, he looked at me and said, I thought you said you were a virgin. You're not even bleeding. And then that one just finished me. And then I remembered when I was in SS1, I didn't go to boarding school till I was in SS1.
Hmm.
And there was this girl that my mom handed me over to take care of me. So first term, we finished first term. During the holiday, she came home and she tried to sexually molest me.
A girl.
Yes. And so I thought maybe she succeeded because I remember just screaming and running out of the room, but I
Yeah.
couldn't tell my mom because my mom was too strict. And I knew that if I tell my mom was going to rain hell on the girl, her mom. And I know that when I get back to school, I am going to get it. So I didn't say anything. So I just felt like maybe that was the reason. And I became a different person. I lost myself. I started asking questions like, did something happen to me? How come? So I just lay there and I slept off. I remember waking up, I think it was about 5. I just got up and I just used the loo, and he woke up and I said I wanted to go back to school. He couldn't look me in the eyes. He said, okay. So he just gave me some money because he brought me, we came together, and then I walked out. I saw a bike. I took a bike, got to the back gate and started walking to school. By the time I came down from the bike, my entire jeans was drenched in blood. And I was like, he's not here to see this, to know that of the truth.
By the time you got down from the bike,
yes,
you were drenched in blood.
Yes, my denim was soaked.
Ah.
You know, because after I did what I did, I didn't get up. So it was, the only time I got up was to pee, and then I started heading back to school. So I got to my hostel, I went to my friend's room. I didn't know what to do because I didn't know anything. And she was the one that helped me to shower, and she was just comforting me. We were just analyzing the whole thing. And I'm like, how could this person? I was still in shock, you know. But after a while, she led me to go do her thing, and I wasn't myself. I didn't know how to handle it now. Because of how I used to hang out with guys, I was very bold. If you're a guy and maybe I'm talking with a group of friends and you're a guy and you walk up and you're smoking a cigarette, I'll take the cigarette from you and throw it on me. I'll tell you, please, I don't like people smoking around me. You know, I was that bold. I even did it to a cult boy, and the boy was looking at me and my friends were like, are you crazy? I'm like, I don't like it. But whenever I asked them, they would say, you know, it helps me clear my hair. That's why I smoke. So I just felt like, you know what? Maybe cigarettes would do it. So I went to...
Maybe cigarette will help you clear your head.
Yes, because I was in, that space. And so I went to the back of the school and I bought 2 sachets of Squadron and 4 sticks of cigarette. And I sat down and I drank it and I smoked it.
When you were beginning your cigarette journey, you began with 4 sticks.
Yes.
What a way to start.
4
sticks for a start. But let me ask a question. You know, around the time this was happening, were you a church girl?
Yes.
Hold on a minute.
So I was part of the fellowship, I started speaking in tongues.
Oh, wow.
I like the things of God. I used to sing in the choir when I was in secondary school, back at home.
But they didn't know all these things were going on.
Nobody knew. I didn't tell anyone. I mean, the day I didn't tell anyone. But I felt like something left me because I became a different person. So after I smoked and I got back to the hostel, my friend was telling me, what are you doing? Why would you do this to yourself? And I just felt guilty. And then I said, okay, I wasn't going to do it.
When you smoked the first time, you were at about what age?
I was 16.
16?
Yes, I was turning 17 that year.
When the guy took advantage of you, you were about what age also? So it was, many of these things happened when you were 16.
Yes. So this thing happened maybe like on a Friday into Saturday. On Monday, I had to write exams. And then my exams was Monday through to Friday. So I just said to myself, okay, after my exams, I will still have time. I'll stay back in school to just get over the whole thing. On the last day of my paper, I came out from my exam hall and I saw my mom, my dad, and the provost of the school. And my mom said they came to pick me home. I'm like, we're not done. I said, no, your timetable, your provost said you're done with your exams. So I had to go to my hostel, pack my things. So I didn't have time to process what had happened to me till I got home. So I got home. My mother noticed I became withdrawn. I wasn't as bold and vocal like I used to be. I became timid. I was always crying in my room at night. I didn't know anything. I didn't know whether I would get pregnant. And so all of that thought, I was daunted with the thought of, what if you get pregnant? What would your parents say? What would they do? And the thought of telling my mom was scary because, like I said, she was very strict at the time.
Were you given any, I don't want to use the word fear factor, like the day a guy touched you, you get pregnant?
Yes, yeah, of course.
You were told that?
Yes, I was told that.
And what was your interpretation of that touch?
I didn't interpret it as anything. I just said, okay. So that's why I never kissed a guy. I never.
So you knew that at that instant you could be pregnant?
Yes. So I just knew that it's possible, but I didn't know what to do.
Were you pregnant at that instant?
No, I wasn't.
You were not,
I
okay.
wasn't. So my mom kept on asking me, something is different about you, and I kept on denying it because I already pictured it. If I tell my mom, being the first daughter, my mom is going to blow it out of proportion, as a mother would. My mom will go after this boy's mom. And you know how human beings are, they will just say, oh, your daughter, what was she doing with a man in a room? Why was she there? And then maybe I might end up being accused of being the one that probably seduced the guy. And then the aftermath will be my parents just, so I just said, you know what?
There's no point for the drama.
There's no point for the drama. So one day my mom calls me to the room. They saw my diary where I had written the 2 squaddy and 4 SIGs. I just put I put it as a code. But they decoded, this is squadron, this is cigarette. I denied it. You've joined bad gang. I denied it. I just made up one
Again,
story.
you were what age then?
I was still 16. All this within 16.
The same year?
Yeah, same year. Same month. So, and then that happened. But I saw how I could see judgment in their eyes. And I saw that the way they used to see me changed that day. And I said, no, I'm not going to tell them anything. And then I'll just go back to, I have a very vivid memories of things. So from when I was young, from when I was like 7, 8, 9, I used to dream a lot.
Yeah.
Before something happens to me, I would dream about it.
Okay.
Right? So I was that person. And I knew things that I couldn't explain how I knew them.
Yeah.
I was in primary 2 when a family friend of ours came to visit. And immediately the man walked in and I greeted him. And he said, come and sit on I sat on his lap and he was just patting my back. I just knew that this man wants to do bad things to you. So I became uncomfortable. And true to it, that night during dinner, my dad wasn't around. My mom served us food. He sat opposite me and under the table, he would use his leg to touch me, to try to raise, and I couldn't. I just sat there.
You were about what age then?
Primary 2, I was like 4 or 5, but yeah, thereabout.
Your dad's friend?
No, my mom's distant family friend that came to visit from my mom's side. So once it's after dinner, normally myself and my siblings will go outside to play for a bit. But the moment that man, every time he will come around, I'll make sure I don't go out to play. After dinner, because it was a 2-bedroom, my parents' room and then the kids' room, and then there was a big bed in the kids' room where visitors could stay. So I just knew that I couldn't sleep in the room. So I would take my mattress and go and keep it in my dad's room. I'll make sure that I keep it there and start sleeping before my dad comes back. Because once he comes back, he will say, no, don't sleep in my room. So that was how I avoided that man until one day we were getting ready for school. I'd done the normal thing, slept in my parents' room, woke up, had my bath. And it was Harmattan season. I was about to leave for school. And I remember that I left my cardigan on the bed. And the man was in the room. It was in the morning. My mom had entered the bathroom to shower. And I asked my sister to go help me get it. She said no. So I went in. I saw him sat there. I went in, grabbed the cardigan, and I was about to run off. He grabbed me and kissed me. And then I fought him, and then he let me go because I was going to school, and I ran off.
You were at a young age.
Yeah. So that happened, and that was the last time I saw him. Then...
Do you still recognize him?
I saw him again after I finished my A-levels, but he died like 2 years after, from what I heard, after that incident.
Which incident?
Sorry?
Which incident?
After he grabbed me and kissed me and all of that, and
Sorry, when he grabbed you, then you were about what age?
maybe I was in primary 2, so I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was so scared to tell my mom. Then I had a second incident in 1993. I think I was about 7 going to 8. I was 8. Yes, 93. I was going to 8 that year. My mom had just given birth to my brother. So we had a houseboy. So one day she had an accident, a bike accident, and she bruised her knee. So because of that, she couldn't enter the bathtub to shower.
Who bruised the knee?
My mom.
Your mom, okay.
So she couldn't bath in the shower. So at night, my dad would take her to the back of the house to shower, and then the boy would help arrange stuffs. So that fateful night, I laid down, I slept. We all slept in my parents' room, kept mattress on the floor to sleep because of the newborn baby. We were excited. And the boy had gone to help set up the water, and then he would wait. The houseboy, he would wait. My dad would take my mom to go shower and all of that. So I lay down and I slept, and I woke up with the feeling of somebody touching me. He had pulled down my pants. He had started touching me, but I realized that I could not move. I couldn't do anything.
Why?
My head was heavy. I couldn't move. And I didn't know what to do, but I could see him doing what he was doing. And then I heard my dad scream his name. And then he ran off out of the room and went. And then that was the last thing I remember, and I slept off again. So by this time, my mom had finished having a bath, and they were coming in. So they were calling in to come pack the things.
You slept off?
I just slept off.
What did he do?
He just pulled my pants. And
how did he immobilize you?
I don't know. So,
and then, were you sleeping before he came?
Yes. I just woke up and realized that something was happening to me. I think that was what even woke me, but I couldn't move.
You were at about what age around this particular one?
7, 8. So when that happened, I woke up in the morning. My dad had sent him on an errand, and so I just had my bath. I waited for him to come back. And when he came back, I walked up to him and asked him, "What were you trying to do last night?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "What were you trying to do last night?" He now said, "I hope you're not trying to say that I was trying to touch you." And I said, "Oh, so you know what you did?" So I went straight and told my dad. My dad grabbed this boy, beat him up, beat him to the point that he started confessing that he was a witch.
The boy began to confess that he was a witch.
That he was a witch. And that was when I now understood why I could not move.
Why he immobilized you?
Yes. And my dad was asking him to say where he got initiated. He said no, that he can see them, they are coming, that if he says anything, they're going to kill him. And that was the day he left our house.
Are you seeing people just get people into their homes? You see, a friend of ours got this girl as an house help, and they have an agency where they get these people. But there was this particular one that they got, and from the moment the girl got into the house, they lost their peace. And she just said she just felt like, well, let's take this girl for another test. Let's not believe all the medical report they've given to us. And she took the girl for another test. And that was when they found out that the girl was HIV positive. Now, that's not a way to stigmatize people who are going through that. But for someone who was practically helping raise their children, there could be any accident, and So I'm just saying that in respect to people vetting those that are allowed into their space. Amazing. Please continue.
So that happened, and then the third time was when I was in primary 5, so probably about 8, 9 years old, and my dad's cousin came. The house was full. So instead of staying in the room as usual, so we brought our mattress, kept it in the living room to lie down. And then I woke up to my dad's cousin taking up my pants.
Your dad's cousin?
Yes. So Immediately I woke up, he just stopped. And then I got up from the bed and he asked me where I was going to. I said, I want to use myself because the bathroom was in between my parents'
But you
room
all
and
stayed in the
children's
same
room.
room.
So he was in the living room. So when family comes like that, so we just bring our mattress, all of us, all the children, we just stay there, and all of that. And at the time, my parents were struggling at the time. So
Yeah.
but when I got into the corridor, I started knocking on my parents' door and I told my dad what happened. My dad came out to confront him and he denied it. So my mom just said, carry your mattress and come and stay in the room. So I did, kept it by the bedside and I laid down, but I didn't sleep. So I heard my parents arguing. They were confessing, is it possible? So my dad thought, okay, are you sure it's not the, effect of what happened years ago? She's not thinking that it's the same thing. I was like, but this guy did this, tried to do this. So my mom came, I was lying down, I was touching my leg, trying to raise my neck and say, but she's not moving. I'm sure she was not dreaming. At that point, I just felt, why can't they believe me? Is it because this one is a family member? So I think that was where that trust was first broken. So when I now had this encounter, I said, I can't tell them. Got into the university, and then went to university. My parents were there for me. I graduated. I was posted to Abuja for my NYSC. And I had a boyfriend then in school that had an extra year and his birthday was coming up. I remember again, just like that first instance when I was supposed to go on that date with the boy, like a voice kept on telling me go back. I heard a voice tell me, do not get on that bus. I was at the bus station to enter a bus
for the birthday
to head to school. I heard don't go. I was like, it's my boyfriend's birthday. To just be somehow that I don't go. Let me just go and surprise him.
Yeah.
And I got there, got to school. There were lots of drinks. So by this time, drinking, I'm smoking weed.
You started with 4 sticks. Now you've graduated.
Oh, no, I graduated. I was doing a pack and a half a day.
No, sorry, come again. A pack of what?
Of cigarettes.
And half?
Yes.
In a day?
In a day. So at least before I start smoking in the morning, before nightfall, I must have finished one pack and maybe I'm halfway through the second.
Cigar. And what kind of drink? Were you taking pure water or what?
Pure water. No, it was whiskey. And I could handle my alcohol, so that one was not a problem. I could sit down and unconsciously finish a bottle of whiskey. Yeah. I had the capacity and
capacity.
because what my friends would drink and get drunk wouldn't even move me.
You could withstand
I used to sit down with boys and cancel,
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes the boys will get high and
you are still going.
And I'm still going. I'm like, what did they do? God, bring something.
Amazing.
So
you had learned how to do that while you were on campus.
Yes. So I was already
used to that. All those was going on, were you still a church person?
Yes.
Or you disconnected to some extent?
I disconnected to some extent. I didn't join choir. And then, of course, because I had started doing these things, whenever I would go to fellowships, the fellowship girls would be looking at me like, that girl that we used to see.
Oh, they used to see you smoke?
Maybe. I started feeling like a gangster in my head.
Okay.
And then, of course, I started attracting other girls that used to smoke.
Yeah.
But I used to have people tell me that time that you are a sheep in the midst of wolves. Because outwardly, what you see is this girl that is drinking whiskey and smoking cigarette. But when they came close, they would tell me, you are not like these people that you're hanging. You're not like them. Why are you... so people would have that outward, that facade was nothing to write home about. But when they came close, they're like, you're not like these ones. So I got to school and they had brought vodka. We were like 9 bottles of vodka. Maybe we were about 11 of us or 12. We were drinking, playing games, taking shots. And then the drinks finished. And then I realized I was higher than usual. And normally I comport myself. Well, for me, alcohol was not an aphrodisiac. So I won't drink and misbehave. But that day, I was staggering, which was unlike me. And I just wanted to just get off. So I said, okay, let's get noodles with lots of pepper. I couldn't even eat the food.
The pepper was going to help you cancel.
Yes, for me, it would reduce
you
the
down.
effects of the alcohol, but nothing was working. And I just saw my boyfriend in the corner with his friend, and they had created like a bong. There was a bottle with water. And I didn't know what it was. And they were just lighter. I was like, what's going on? I said, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? My friend just came and said, open your mouth. I opened my mouth. He put the pipe in my mouth, and he said, just drag, and he lit it up. And as I took a drag, it was, let me use cartoon to describe it, it was an all moment. It was like, oh, in my head, everywhere, lights.
Search network.
Everything just, phew, the alcohol, I became normal. And I was like, what is that?
Just one drag.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was it. And I said, I want it. I woke up the following day, they gave me, I kept on taking. I said, this thing is sweet. But the highness doesn't last. And when I asked what it was, they said, it's rocks. I said, which one is rocks? It's rocks. And I said, okay. The following day, I said I wanted it. They said, okay, the dealer brought some, but they were out of supply. Because I spent 2 days in school and I went back. As I came back to Abuja, so I had a friend that used to take it. I used to see her with nylon, with some white substance. She would break it, she would put it in the pipe. She would say, please, you don't want. I said, I don't know, what is that? The first time she gave me to try it, I said, I beg, I don't want this. I don't know what that is. But after that incident, I went back to her. I said, that thing, where
that rock.
That rock. And then I started.
And you said the highness doesn't last.
No.
So you need to be on it.
Yes.
You always. Whenever you are far from it and you are desired, how do you feel?
If I have money, I can't have money and not want to buy it.
Hey, so it means that's where your money, everything will be going to.
And then all my friends, I only hung out with people that were taking it. Because I knew that if they peace offer, it's okay.
They will have it.
They will have it. Or they'll link me with somebody that will get it.
These friends were girls?
Girls, guys, mixed. Most of them were all in the same uni, went to the same uni, and it got to a point where there was this boy I started dating, and his brother used to take it. He used to take it. He had gone to rehab and come back. And his brother had gone like 4 times and come back.
That was the souvenir for what this rock has done to rock their world.
At some point, they used to call it evil spirit.
The rock.
Yes. And at some point.
So most of the senior colleagues who have taken that, they have the record of going to psychiatric hospital and returning.
Yeah, they'll go to rehab.
More like it's pointing the juniors that this is where you are coming to.
I mean, and there was a time I didn't have money, they didn't have money. And then my brother said, get into the car. And we drove to, this Abuja. We get on the street and we park. We say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to flag down cars and tell them that, we came in from Jos. We came for a job interview and then we're stranded. And we need money to put fuel in the car or pay
just
transport
to be able to buy rock.
And we'll stand there. At some point, they'll tell me, please come out. At least your innocent face. People would want to give when they see your face. So I'll stand with them and say, we don't have to give before you know it. And then a gram was 8,000 naira.
A gram is like a peach.
Yeah. And that was a gram. So we'll probably gather, we can get like 10K. So once we buy, we'll not divide it into 3. You take his own, I'll take my own. The brother will take his own. And then one day, one unfortunate day, I ran into my dad's friend, top notch. And he was like, I need some picture, come to my office. And I went, he was like, wow. So we're just talking. And then when he finished, he just said, okay, ask the PA to give me money. And he gave me 350,000. I left his office and I checked into a hotel. I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I left on Monday. I didn't sleep. For 4 nights. I didn't sleep. And as I checked out, I was smoking.
Rocks.
I didn't, I checked out on Monday, I only had 20K with me.
Out of 350,000.
Yes. So of course I paid for the room. And I don't know where I got, I would just say it was God, because you won't be able to eat. I couldn't sleep, like I said. So what I would do is I'll regulate it. I'll put a timer, like 20 minutes break. So maybe I'll call room service to come and clean the room. And I have friends that will come and stay and smoke with me. So we'll order, maybe we can order like 10 grams, you know, and then maybe they're going, I'll just give them a gram or something and we'll smoke. So what I would do in between is
10 grams is 80K.
Yeah. So I would order pepper soup. Make sure it's fish, because I couldn't chew meat. Once you take it, you can't chew. I can chew meat for like over 10 minutes before I can swallow it. It was,
Why?
I don't know. It messes with your...
It affects your nerves.
Yes. You know, so I'll just buy fish pepper soup and I'll mash the fish and I'll just be sipping it. And then I'll make sure that there's water and there's Fanta. I just had a knowing that make sure you have sugar and make sure that, and that pepper soup is 1 plate of pepper soup a day. That was it.
So it means that this thing is really evil spirit going to be draining those
Yes.
who are...
And then I was, if within that 4 days, I probably lost like 10, 15 kg. Because I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, and I was just drying up. And I left there, checked out, went to my friend's house, and I checked out because the money, they didn't have
Was
money again. So went to my friend's house.
So a man can actually, if a man has a house and is hooked on rock, and there's no money, he will sell it.
Yes.
He will sell it.
Yes.
Distress sale.
This guy I talked about had sold his mother's car.
Hey,
Had sold his mother's properties.
for this rock.
Yes. Yes. I got to my friend's house and I slept from about 12 noon, and I didn't wake up till past 10 at night. Everything that happened in that room, I did not hear one thing.
You went.
I just went. The
You've
only thing
been
I know
keeping
is
vigils for 4 days.
the only thing I know was when I woke up. And then by this time, of course, I couldn't focus. I couldn't do NYC. I couldn't work. I couldn't drive. My life was just...
It was draining your entire life.
It took my entire life. And one day my mom just said, "You're coming back home." So by this time, you know, I was hanging out with people that went to uni together. Gist would lead to gist, and then someone now heard, and then my younger sister heard it in school. That I was taking this thing. I got home. So those are my friends that were back home in New York that used to take it. When they heard I was back, they connected with me and they brought it. So that, you know, when they bring and I taste, once we smoke together, if I have money, I want to buy so that all of us can smoke together.
So the idea is, when you have and it's not enough, look for somebody who is hooked on it.
Yes.
Once the person can taste, he will look for money from anywhere.
And buy so that all of you will
It is evil spirit.
together.
It is.
You know, and
It is.
so it was back home that one of those days that I got the news that a friend of ours, he was an only child of a single mom. His mom was in the US. So because of, you know, he was a ruffian and everything, the mom said, no, you must go to Nigerian school. So your university, you're doing it in Nigeria. So when he came, he was an Americana and everything, so he had money. And I heard that he had checked into a hotel and he had smoked. He had run out of supply. So his dealer was in Lagos. So he was waiting for his dealer to come. He became impatient. So he looked for a local dealer around and bought. And he took it and he choked. He choked and he died.
Only child
Yes.
of a single mom.
Yes. The mom was in America.
Who probably has passed the age of giving birth.
Most likely.
And that was it.
That was it. After I heard that news, that night I cried. I told God, I don't want to go to rehab. And I don't want to die. So I will not go to rehab. I will not bring shame to my parents.
Is this part of how you got delivered from that?
Yes. I said, this is not who I am. I don't want to be this person. So I don't know how you're going to help me. But you see that rehab, I am not going there. Because there's no how I'll go to rehab that people will not hear. And my dad, my mom, it will break her.
But you were drying up.
So I was just losing weight. Why are you so skinny? I'm like, oh, stress. And nobody really knew. The only person I knew was my immediate younger sister. And she was just look at me. She said, that this thing you're doing is not. I'll probably just look for an excuse. Oh, I'm suffering from heartbreak. Oh, I'm dealing with this. And then I had to go for my master's outside the country. That one, I already made up my mind that there is no way I will get to the UK and start taking this thing. Right? I think that God had already started dealing with me, but I was still struggling with, the act. And I got to the UK. Holiday, maybe I want to come visit.
Yeah.
As I'm landing from the airport, I'm calling the dealer. So
in
Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
Yes. So I'm coming home. I'm calling the dealer.
Or you didn't take it in
Nope.
UK?
No, I didn't.
Or you came back to take it?
Yes, once I come home, let me say I just come for like a week or two. As I'm landing, I'm buying, I'm changing pounds. And then I go back. I think it happened like twice. So one day, there was a Festival of Fire, Redeemed Christian Church of God. They had this program.
Festival of Life, UK.
Festival of Life, yes, UK. I was in Aberdeen at the time. So my friend was ushering at the church.
Yeah.
So we had planned that I was going to come to church that evening,
Amazing.
But I had classes, So I carried a light jacket because it was sunny. But by the time I finished my class and came out, it was freezing cold.
It gets cold then.
Yeah. UK weather just changes. So I didn't stop. I was like, no. If it's like this, by the time I'm done with church, I will be freezing. So I just went home straight. My friend comes back from church. I'm like, peace, you missed. They anointed everybody today in church. Okay, take your own. So she took the anointing oil from her forehead and put it on my forehead. And I went to bed. That night I had a dream. And in that dream, I was supposed to go for a church program, but I missed it. So I woke up realizing that I'd overslept. With my 90, I ran to the church. As I got to the church, the pastor had left. I was going to his car. So I ran to the car.
In the dream.
So he had put one leg in the car and turned and was talking to someone. That's when I arrived and he looked at me. I was trying to catch my breath. I was panting. He said, you have been delivered. God has set you free. It has happened. You've been delivered. And I said, okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And he entered the car. And so people were looking at me like, with your 90, I didn't care. I was just happy. And I woke up. I just felt this joy. I didn't realize what had happened. I was so happy. I was like, what is this? A week later, I talking to one of my friends and he said, that's true. I even have gist for you. That guy that used to sell this thing in New York, they've arrested him. I said, and they arrested him and nobody, they've not here. Because the guy used to smoke. Say, I've not been able to reach him for like weeks now. I said, really? I said, okay. Finished my master's. After I had that dream and I got that word, I used to dream, still, but that was when I had my first wake-up call. I had a dream like 3 months after that, that I was in the car and with a friend of mine, one of my classmates then, and in the middle of the road, I saw lightning flash and it hit the sun and the sun went dark automatically. So cars were ramming into each other and people started screaming. We came down, what's happening? What's going on? And then I saw a flash of lightning again. It hit the same spot. And then it was back to daytime, but it was cloudy, thick clouds, and started raining. So we left our car and we ran to the house. So I was telling the people in the house, look at what happened. They said, okay, let's go to the penthouse. So the house had a penthouse. So we got to the top. Everything still looked normal. They were telling me, peace, what are you saying? Nothing happened. And then I just saw the lightning again, hit the sun. And I told my friend, they said, see, it's happening again. And everywhere went dark. And then out of nowhere, I saw like a laser carve out a circle. So in the dark space, there's a circle, right? Yellow light. And then inside the inside part of the light starts to crack and it shatters. And then there's fire, a gaping hole with fire. And then I see a being approach it. At first, I thought it was a genie, but then I saw that it was a tall being. He had horns, and then he had headphones. And then he steps out, and then there's a disc jockey table, and then he starts to play music, and he's DJing. And then listen, I hear shouts on the left. I saw a stage. I saw popular artists. I don't want to mention names, American artists, and then it was a concert. And I saw people were raving. I was like, Then I heard screams and cries, and I turned to my right and I saw like a river, but it was fire.
Mm.
And I saw people inside.
Mm.
Then there was a scene, I saw a man
Mm.
and two men with uniform, and then they had long ropes like koboko.
Mm.
They will flog the man, the cane will wrap around him. When they pull it, his skin is coming out.
Tearing out.
And they will do that maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times. The man will fall, die, fall into the fire, the lake of fire. Then he'll come back up again. And
They do the same thing again.
then I was like, what's going on here? To my left, there's the rave. To my right,
Torment.
torment. Then I heard in the atmosphere, vanity.
Vanity.
All of it is vanity. And then I just broke down and I started crying. I said, this is a revelation. This is a revelation. And then the voice now said, the people on your left are dancing to music. And they think that they are dancing to the artist on the stage. But this is the musician. This is the real
spirit.
musician. And this is where they're going to end up.
Wow.
And then I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that I was crying physically.
Mm.
So by the time I was coming back into consciousness, a voice echoed in my room and said, when you wake up, I didn't know at the time it was Psalms 1. It says, when you wake up, thank God that you know God.
Mm.
Be careful of the places you go to.
Mm.
Be careful of the people you hang around with. And be careful of the company you keep, the things you do, and the things you say. I woke up, I couldn't open my eyes because my eyes were peppery, tears, my eyes were shut, and then my pillow was soaked. I got up, ran to my roommate's room. I told her dream. We started crying. I opened Google, started searching, sun, lightning, sun turning dark. And then I saw Acts when it says, on the day that the Lord is going to return, that the sun will turn to darkness, the moon
Like
to
blood.
blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I saw in my dream.
Yeah.
And then we started crying, started repenting, because the day before we went out, we had drinks and everything, even though I just had this uncomfortable feeling. Then that was how it started. And then a week later, I was back in Nigeria. I had dreams. I saw angels descending and they were being dispatched to houses. I was like, what is this? And then I started having dreams. About the rapture. I'll see the rapture happen. I see people being taken and I'm standing and I'm crying. There was one I saw where I saw a robot army. They had captured people and they put them in cages. But where I stood was in between 2 pillars. The robot armies couldn't see me, but the people in the cages could see me.
Mm.
And I didn't know what to do. And I was crying and they were looking at me. They were helpless. As in, they were like, as if they wanted me to do something. And I was like, what do you want me to do? I can't do anything. I was just crying. So I went to my parents with the dream. My dad really heard it, said, you're a sinner. God is saying you're going to hell. God is asking you to repent. And I was like, God is saying I'm going to hell. I'm being condemned. Is that why he's touching me with this dream? So I just interpreted it to mean that I was being judged by God. When I was younger, people used to tell me, you have the call of God on your life, you have the call of God. So from that moment, any pastor that came, God has called. I said, God has not called you. God cannot call me. Do you know me? Do you know these things I've done? I'm a sinner. And I started viewing it that way. But the dreams didn't stop. Kept on having that nudging. Then one day I now had a dream that I was in a space, an outdoor event. I was seated by, the water side, but there was a barricade. And then I was talking to friends and all of a sudden I saw the sky open and light shone. As the light hit the surface of the water, there was a wave. And so all I did was I just grabbed the rail. So I just grabbed on the barbed wire fence and it threw me into the sky. My eyes were shut. So I was lying down on this thing. As I opened my eyes, I looked, everywhere was immersed with water. I couldn't see a single soul. Then I heard, peace, tell them I am coming.
Wow.
Like a remote control. I turned and I started descending. As I was descending, I saw a large skull. Its mouth was closed. Once it opens its mouth, I'll see people falling from nowhere. They'll fall in. You close its mouth, open it, people will fall in. And then it took me through a grave site and I saw people come out from their graves and stand by their graves and they were taken up. And then I landed. When I landed, I started saying, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. He's here. So I wasn't sure whether he's coming because the message was telling them I'm coming. But what I was seeing was depicting like it was already here. And that was it. And as I woke up from that dream, I heard a voice echo in the room and says, "You are my girl. You are my own. And I have chosen you."
Wow.
So between then, there's been lots of dreams, but at some point, I got to realize that everything that happened to me was God telling me, you have a purpose.
You do have a role.
And these are the people I am calling you to. These are the people you are supposed to serve. But I constantly judged myself.
Yeah.
And with all the things I was hearing, and in between this, I was still smoking cigarette, I was still smoking weed, I was still drinking alcohol. I wasn't just taking the other substance anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't taking evil spirits anymore. And as I began to grow, I started writing my dreams.
Yes.
I was led to share. I created a blog. I shared. But I was conflicted because it felt like I was living a double life. But God kept on saying,
because we're still taking weed.
Yes.
And we're still drinking.
Yes.
But you were still having those dreams.
No, I was still having those dreams.
So how did everything stop?
I just woke up one day and the desire for cigarette just died. I couldn't explain it. I don't know. It just died. But weed lingered because the way I saw weed in my mind was, this one is nothing now. This one is just cruise.
Weed.
Yes. So because I look at it as cruise, I always felt like
just cruise.
I'm just taking it for cruise. So it wasn't an addiction. It was like whenever it was like an occasional smoking thing.
Yeah.
So there could be a season I could just decide to smoke. I'll be smoking for 1 week, for 1 month. And then all of a sudden I said, okay, you don't do. I'll just brush it aside. So it wasn't something that I felt I was addicted to. So I carried on with that for a long time. Even when I mean a long time, even till most recent. Right? And alcohol was not a problem for me, but I continued. But the challenge I had was when God told me, you need to start a ministry. I said, me, what? It's not me. I don't want people that know me, they'll be like you.
Yeah.
But there were people that knew that peace dreams a lot. And sometimes our dream comes to pass. So it was in that period that we started. God, one day, I had people come around and I was telling them of my encounters and everything. And they were looking at me like, you don't look anything like someone that's had dreams, had encounters with God. And then I went to my room to sleep. That night I heard, no judgment zone. I'm like,
no judgment zone.
I'm like, what is that? And he says, no judgment zone is my presence. Where you come and you can be yourself. And I don't care what you have done in the past. All I care is who I've called you to be. So that is what that ministry is going to be called. Wow. That people can come as they are, but they don't have to remain as they are. So you welcome
have you started
them.
It?
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing.
Started it.
Amazing.
Then
you've been able to reach out to a few people?
Yes, we started building a community, but I still struggle with judgment myself, and it was something that God was also trying to walk me through.
And you know why I like this story? It's the fact that it is as real as it should be, no filters. Yeah. So, but of course, that beyond the platform, the area of judging yourself and all those other things, we'll get on with that. Yeah, continue.
For the other one, how I even knew that God, even to confirm God's deliverance, was I came back to Nigeria, but I came in through Lagos. So I didn't even, because normally I would come into Abuja. So I didn't know any dealers, I would say, but I got into you. I didn't feel the need to reach out to my friends or anything. And then one day, someone just randomly calls me and said, you're in this town. When did you come in? Oh my God, where are you? I told him where I was. I was my friend's house. So he came to meet me and I was leaving. So I just said, as I got into the car, so he used to crush his own and really weed. So he just opened his glove compartment and brought the rock and kept it there. And I looked at it, well, how far away your pipe? So now I know the routine. I told you the routine that they will bring it so that once you smoke, the next thing you will now buy more and all of it. And I looked at it and I felt nothing. The anxiety, the adrenaline I used to feel, I felt nothing. And I told him, I don't smoke anymore. And he opened his eyes, so like, you say what? I said, I don't smoke anymore. He carried it in, put it inside the car. I said, hold on, finish rolling it, put it inside. Dropped me in my house, and that was the last time he called me. He never called me. There's nothing. No point. There's no point. There was, and I go home and I cried. I cried.
That was deliverance.
I was like,
Wow.
how did you do this?
Thank you, Lord.
In between, temptations to do it will come, and I'll be tempted. I'll probably even get it. I'll probably take it. Then I'll
Thank
say,
you,
no, this is not me. I don't want to do this. And
you said that's been about 11 years.
Yes.
My God, thank you, Lord. This is so good to hear. Let me ask you a question. If there's anyone connected or watching, because definitely there's someone watching this who is hooked on substance and trying to be free. If there's a word you want to tell that person, what would it be?
First, that God is real. And He hears us. A lot of times we pray for deliverance, but deep within us, we are not ready to be delivered. I think one of the primary things that helped me was the decision I made when I told God, I don't want to go to rehab. I don't want to end up on the streets.
Wow.
So I don't know how you're going to do it, but this is not who I am. I rejected it. I rejected that life because there was a temptation to think that, okay, I can balance this out. I can still live my life while taking this. This can become a thing, you know, and I said no. And God heard me.
Wow.
God heard me. I didn't go to rehab. I didn't end up in the street.
Wow.
March this year, I ran into a friend of mine. I didn't know she was the one. I thought it was an old woman. Only for me to look, and it was her. Her parent had kicked her out of the house. She was roaming from joint to joint, as in, she looked nothing like...
A friend of yours?
Yes, we were very close. Our parents, our dads were friends, were political, allies. And I asked, I said, it's drugs. It was this same thing. And I'm like, this could have been me. I could have been this person. And I tried to call my friends. I'm like, okay, what can we do? How can we get her off the street? And they told me they're taking her to several rehabs. Her father has given up on her. And they're not even Christians. They're Ekis. So that foundation wasn't there. And at first I was like, yeah, because the girl had done a lot of horrible things to me. So I said, this is karma. But when I got home, I just broke down and cried. It is one of the things that saved me. Well, yeah, the foundation that my parents laid, which was a Christian foundation. Christian, I didn't know any other thing. And also the desire for the things of God, which it wasn't me. I won't say it was me. It was God's hand that was on my life. But what I would say to anyone struggling is, if you make up your mind that you do not want to be this person, and you trust God to save you, He will. He saved me. He delivered me. I look nothing like what I've been through. If I don't tell you, you will not know.
No, true.
And if God could do it for me, He will do it for you.
Wow.
There is chance. There's a chance for you. There's salvation for you. There's deliverance for you. Just run to God. He's the only one that can help you. Wow. He's the only one that can help you, and He helped me.
Amen. All right. You spoke about a ministry that you have.
Yes,
what is the focus of that ministry? It's a No Judgment Zone.
So it's called No Judgment Zone. And what God said to me was, the mission He gave me was to awaken, shape, and sharpen the end time army.
Solid.
And part of the revelations He used to give me, there was a day I had a dream where an army came in and they were running people up. They asked me to kneel down. They were asking me questions, but I couldn't speak because there was substance in my mouth. So I asked to go to the tap to clean my mouth. So I opened the tap and I will clean my mouth. I'll see white substance. I will clean it. I'll put water. But while outside, I saw an army of zombies. And they were young boys and girls. They were 16, 17, 18.
The level of the depth of revelation and dreams you used to have is not normal. I hope you know it's not normal.
I know. So
this is not conventional. This is really spirit. I'm always quite careful. People talk about dreams. I don't want to dabble into all those stuffs, but here I am sitting with you, and I'm just saying, this is it. God is showing you stuff.
So I saw them. I will clean my mouth and then I'll be able to speak. And once I speak, the first set of people I saw, they became transformed and they became normal.
Wow.
And they got into formation like an army.
Wow.
And then I'll raise my mouth and I will speak. The more I spoke, the farther my voice went. So even to the people I could not see, I saw that they had
Being
become
transformed.
transformed and they got into alignment and they were standing as soldiers. And that was when God said, I'm calling you to awaken,
Oh, amazing.
shape and
Shape and-
sharpen the entire army. And
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're going to put the details of the ministry stuff that you do on the screen, all right? So, you've come a long way.
So-
And I want to thank you for one thing, the depth of sincerity in this story. Sometimes people, all right, but let me just put that as that, all right? The fact that anybody going through this can see right through you, like, yeah, all right, that me right there. I know what it means to go through what she's going through, you know. And I am not going to be surprised to see the number of people that God will be rescuing through your life. And also, I need to wrap up with this. Listening to you is more than just a story. I said this to you before we started, and I want to say it publicly so the whole world can hold you on our behalf. That you need to chronicle your story as a book, such that it can. There's this book that we used to already read then, Battle for the Young by Willie Akoni. Powerful book. Such that young people can pick this book and look at this. I believe that your story has the capacity to turn someone who is going in that way back to God. This is the story of redemption. I want to believe God that by 2025, one of those days, we'll be able to show that, all right, we spoke about our book and then it is here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your journey so far and then for reaching out to share this story with us. And one of the reasons why we need to also share the details of your ministry is so that people who can see and hear you today and know that this is one person I know that God has placed the grace to help me. So what I'm saying is that get ready for work because the whole world is watching us. We're so grateful.
Thank you.
And I want to believe everyone who has followed this episode of Story, you have been so blessed. This is one story I personally won't forget in a hurry. And I want you to please, how many of you noticed what she said? Our friend went for Festival of Life UK. She couldn't go. But the friend just said, oh, they anointed us today. We are you to take your own. That was where the whole thing started from. You might not know what sharing this will do to someone that you might not even have a clue of what they are struggling with. So when we say share, we never started this program for YouTube views. When we say share, we're saying let's get stories like this to as many people as possible. We need to understand because the coming of Jesus is close. He's using everything possible, everyone possible, every method. That's the reason we are doing what we're doing. Every method possible, every story possible, every individual possible, everything possible to get to as many as possible that needs to be saved. There are still many of God's elect who are in beer parlors. There are still many apostles who are still dragging evil spirit. There are still many prophets who are still dragging weed, and they need to get all these things. The work doesn't stop here. You and I will need to roll our sleeves now and be good ambassadors of good things happening and get as many people as possible. I'm saying this because I know that many people are struggling, and if care is not taken, so the cliche messages we have may not reach them, but this can. What we have heard today is so powerful. This can. And I also want to say that maybe I don't want to push you, but as God leads you, that maybe podcast something, as God leads you, That I'm not going to push anything
Yeah.
on you, but as God leads you, because people need to hear your voice more. You've been sent to a people, and I know many of you joined this broadcast because of how viral you saw the reel go. All right. So you heard the voice calling you because you saw someone that God has anointed for you. And I can't wait to see the transformation begin. We're sharing the details of our Instagram. Do you mind?
Yes.
And our platform so you can follow. You see, that's the essence of this program. And you can be there and learn on and on and on. Thank you so much,
Thank
woman
you
of
so
God.
much.
God bless you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so
Until we come your way again on another episode of Stories, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. I love you guys so much. God bless you. Have a great time. And yeah, let me add this. Light Camp is next week. Light Camp from 11th to 14th of December here in the city of Abuja. I can't wait to see you on board. I love you guys. Bye-bye.